Welcome to the Christine Balfa Podcast. In this season, titled Coming Home, Christine talks with Sarah Savoy, a longtime family friend and Louisiana native.
Hi, I'm Christine Balfa, and this is the Christine Balfa Podcast. And I'm here today with a dear friend, a family friend. Our families have been friends for a long time.
Very long time.
Very, very happy to have Miss Sarah Savoy with me today. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm all right. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. How did y'all fare through the snowstorm this past week? What was it like for y'all?
It was very interesting to see that much snow in Louisiana.
You've seen it.
I thought I left that behind.
And then
but it was exciting. Yeah. I mean, I knew it was not depressing because I knew it would only be around for 2 or 3 days. So,
So,
yeah, I didn't have to cry about it. It was good.
It was fascinating to me because it's like we had the best of both worlds because we had all the snow and the cold, but we never lost power.
No, and the sun was shining all the time too.
I know. So it was almost like a dream. Don't you think this week in a way?
It was great. And then also the snow insulated underneath the house, which was pretty great. And so I had fewer burst pipes than we usually do when it's that cold and it doesn't snow.
Yeah, a lot of little perks we had this week. Well, I'm so glad to have you here, Sarah. And you could have fit in any of the themes of the podcast that I have in mind, but I wanted to interview you as a part of the series where it's folks that are originally from this area and choose to leave for a while. And then at some point they choose to come back home. And I say, come back home and like make shit happen. And you definitely did that.
I haven't made shit happen yet, though.
I'm sure there's more to come, but I
We'll
see
see
that you
happens.
have. I see that you...
Trying to keep a low profile right now.
a very creative and active in, I know that you're where you're working and making that. To me, that's amazing what y'all are making happen.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome on so many levels.
Yeah. So I just, for people that maybe don't know who you are, Sarah Savoy, maybe you could tell folks a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm from Savoy or Eunice or Figitayek or whatever you want to call that area.
How small a community do you want to go?
Toby says that the Savoys don't really go out and make friends because we're our own community. And I think that's pretty funny. I mean, they're like, all of us. So, yeah, my dad makes accordions. My mom wrote the Cajun Music Bible. We grew up playing Cajun music and all surrounded by all the legends like this Dewey Balfa dude who taught me how to dance. And so all these people were just like at the house all the time. Clifton Chenier, I mean, like all of them, all the greats. And yeah, my brothers are both extremely active in Cajun music and culture around here. So Joelle and Wilson. And then my sister's done a lot of photography of like Mardi Gras and other cultural events like that.
So your family is very embedded in the local culture,
I think so.
Say. Yeah. And very creative beings as well. So I remember, like I said, our fathers were very dear friends, and I know that they spent a lot of time together, and I often spent many visits at your house when I was a little girl, and I just feel like we have a lot of similarities in our growing up in our childhood that maybe we didn't appreciate as much when we were little, but as we got older, we're like, wow, not everybody had what we had.
I mean, that's what I was
up.
telling you once. Like, I mean, I remember like the first time I saw you, like when we had gone to eat at your dad's house and everything, and you're just like sitting there watching TV or whatever. I was like, wow, she's so cool. And I was like probably 9 or something or 8, but I just like our lives were definitely linked all the time, and so it's amazing being able to be here with you doing this today and talking about it.
Yeah, really, really, like a full circle. It feels like to me in a way, in a beautiful way. So when you were a young girl, and there was music around, and your father and mother just performing and having all these local legends that were just family friends at your home all the time. Were you inspired to maybe be a part of that? What did that do for you? And this was something that was cool, something that you maybe wanted to have a part of your life, or was this like,
No. No, I wanted nothing to do with it at all. No, it was just very much like, I mean, whoever really wants to do what their family does, or their parents.
you wanted to stand out or do something different?
Or just do something entirely my own. And so I got more into like playing classical piano and stuff like that, playing cello, more into classical music, and then punk rock, which of course the two always go hand in hand.
I always think that, yeah.
Like Dad kept trying to, like, he would fill the house with instruments. He says, if you really want your kids to grow up and be musicians, fill your house with instruments and forbid them to touch them. And then Mom, like whenever Dad was at work, Mom would be like, hey, you can play J'ai passé devant ta porte on accordion. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. And I tried when I was 9. I tried when I was like 12. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't know. That was their thing. Mom tried to teach me how to sew, and I was like, I never want to learn how to sew. That's terrible. And I don't know. Life has other plans, right? So,
yep, that's for sure.
no, I was just going to leave that to them. And then like we'd go to the jam sessions and everything, and like bang out chords on the piano or the guitar or whatever every now and then. But it wasn't anything that I was going to make my own. No.
And so you at when did you know that you were interested in moving away?
Never really. I was really circumspect about the whole thing, but when I was 14, I fell in love with Dostoevsky, and I decided that I was going to learn how to read him in his own language. So, and I'd been obsessed with Russia since I was like 6 years old. My mom had brought me to the Richmond Museum to show me the Fabergé eggs, and she had told me the story of the Romanovs and the bullets ricocheting off of the jewels sewn into the coats of the children, and I was a very morbid child.
I found that fascinating.
And I was like, wow, I got to go there one day. And then I met Carl Brazell, and he was like, oh, well, what are you studying in college? And then it had nothing to do with marketing. It was just literature. And he said, well, would you want to go to Russia? I was like, well, yeah. And so he had set me up for a 6-month internship in marketing with his radio station in Moscow. And I was supposed to be there for 6 months. And I was like, okay, I guess I can handle 6 months. And I wound up staying for 5.5 years.
I remember you went for a long time. I wasn't quite sure how long you had stayed in Russia. That was a culture shock, right?
Especially getting there on February 3rd. It was, we left Dad's jam session wearing shorts and short sleeves, and we got there in fur coats with our tear ducts freezing as soon as we stepped off of the plane. It was intense. Yeah, it was like negative 18 degrees.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very cool to live. I mean, we visited there. Balfa Toujours did some touring in Russia. And yeah, it's really cold. It was in the winter.
I think I remember Brune reaching out to me about that.
Yes.
He was like, can you teach me how to say some stuff in Russian? I was like, not really. You won't be able to say these things.
Yes, but to know that you lived there for 5.5 years, and such a different culture. Just hanging out with people. The later the night got, the more we found in common.
Yes.
Is what I found. But when we first got there, it was very different. But so what was your experience there?
It's a big city. There are 20 million people who live there. It's very cold. The climate's cold, obviously. We kind of know that. And so I think automatically that makes people have a pretty hard external shell. But I also found that after 2 or 3 shots of vodka, they were just like Cajuns, and they would give you the shirt off of their backs. They're very warm, very jovial. That joie de vivre is definitely there. They have their dachas, like little country houses, kind of like the camp. And they go out there and they like plant stuff and just kind of spend, like, enjoy nature and cook together, cook outside. So there was all of that. And I mean, it all resonates in the end. I kind of felt at home, even though the language was extremely different than the languages down here are. But no, it was a really great experience overall. I made a lot of friends.
That's awesome. I love hearing that, because I know for myself, our tendency as humans is whenever we see somebody that might be different or a place that's different, because of our fear, we think that people are different and we kind of pull away from them. But the more I've traveled and more I've seen, at the end of the day, we're all similar.
Absolutely.
Right? So
I think also I was really, really lucky and fortunate to have been able to travel so much with my parents growing up, because they would bring me, I mean, when I was 12, they brought me to like Germany and France and England and everything. And then having all these different people at the house all the time, like, I mean, like you had too, all these people who would come over just to sort of experience the culture. And half the time you couldn't even understand what they were saying because they were like from Ireland or whatever. And you're just like, what is this language? But so I think we were very fortunate to have these experiences already that taught us that, just because people are from a different place or they dress differently or they speak differently doesn't mean that they're all that different in the end.
Right. They all love to cook, community.
Yeah.
Like, everybody has their different view of community, but at the end of the day, we all have families and we all like to eat. And you're
We're
talking
all
about going to the
humans, and
camp.
the same things nurture our souls.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's beautiful. And so I know you from Russia. You didn't come straight back home.
I intended to.
So how did you end up in France for a while?
I was working on getting home from Russia, and I'd just been there for so long. It was it's always complicated to get home after you've been somewhere a long time. And this friend of the family's, David Rowland, contacted me from France, and he said, well, before you move home, like, come do a couple of tours with me and play some Cajun music in France. And I was like, well, yeah, okay, sure. So I started doing that, and then we decided to like develop this kind of rockabilly Cajun band. And I was like, well, we need an upright bass player. And he was like, well, I have just the guy. And he brought me to Disneyland, Paris. And I saw this like 6'5", dark haired, dark eyes guy. And I was like, oh, we can make this happen. we can have this guy play bass. And yeah, so I wound up moving to France and playing music. And I was making my living playing music there for a while and doing translation work.
And so I know that you're multi-instrumentalist. What were you gravitating towards at that time?
At that time, I was mostly playing guitar because I didn't dare play accordion in front of people for a very long time. I kind of have big shoes to fill on that one. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm still kind of like hesitant about it sometimes, but I don't need to be.
No, well.
But yeah, so I was mostly playing guitar at that time, and then singing, which I always loved to do since I was in daycare. Like I used to get in trouble because I would fuss at the lady who ran the daycare because she would not sing all the verses of a song.
She would leave some out.
And she would like just do like 2 or 3, like the most common ones. And I would like get really upset and like have a temper tantrum that she wouldn't do them all. And so I'd always get in trouble and have to like go in timeout. So like I always loved singing. And all the verses.
Out any verses.
No. It's very important. Don't try to change the words on me. I will know. Yeah, so I always loved singing. So it was mostly that and then just playing guitar. And then people started pushing me to play accordion more and more. So I did. But no, just that.
Yeah. So you were there in France for how long did you
12
stay?
years.
That's a good long
It's a
haul.
very long time. Yeah. So like double my Russia time.
Yeah.
And when I first got to France, it was funny too, because I mean, we all grew up, like knowing some French just because of
Where we're from.
being from here, and who our parents are too, speaking French to each other all the time. And then when I got to France, I was like, oh, it's no problem. I speak French, but I only have room, I think, for one foreign language at a time in my head. And so I'd be like getting out of a taxi in France and like thanking the driver in Russian. And I was like, this is very strange. Like,
Because automatically your foreign language was Russian,
right?
right?
At that point.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because you're just getting there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of crazy. But yeah, so like the 12 years chefing and playing music. Yeah.
So I'm very interested in just overall creativity. And I see that with you, it's not just about being a musician or being a visual artist, although you're both of those things, but also everything you do, like you're sewing, you're cooking, and you just live a creative life. And so it seems like to me.
Yeah. I mean, my parents always did too, like with Mom with her sewing and photography and art and her books and the writing and the music and all of it. And then Dad, I mean, like he's making accordions, but he's also very, very artistic about his approach to them. I think Barry Ostley told me that Dad was the first one to make like accordions with a clear coat on them or whatever, instead of just painting them black. So
So you could see the wood.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
If Barry Osley said it.
It must be true.
But yeah, so, and then, I don't know, like Dad would sit down and like draw with us and stuff like that. And I mean, and he's always been, you know, a great cook. And my grandmother sewed, made beautiful clothes, like not really with patterns or anything. My dad's sister as well. And my grandmother on my mom's side was a watercolor artist. She sold her watercolor paintings and she did all that. So I think I was just kind of brought up by, like, again, very fortunately, by very creative people. So
that wasn't foreign to you to live a creative life, that you grew up with that.
I don't see how anybody would do differently. Like,
right.
Otherwise I'd be like watching TV or something.
Right.
I'm not good at watching TV.
Yeah. You're good at making things happen. So you tell us a little bit more about why you went to get your culinary
Jimmy just, he was like, well, you need to study cooking or something because you're going to wind up doing that one day. Because again, in preschool, I would come home and I'd be like, oh, I learned a new recipe. And it's like a pound of sugar with like 4 tablespoons of flour. And my parents were like, sounds delicious. You're welcome to make it, but you have to eat it. So I very, very quickly learned how to make things taste good. And that was at like 4 years old. So, feeding people has always been very important to me. So there was that. And so Jimmy somehow saw that. He saw that I was interested in like fine dining and cooking and experimenting in the kitchen.
So while you were in France, I remember you were doing a lot of cooking. You're talking about there and playing music. Yeah.
And so I was doing kind of like the summer festival circuit throughout Europe and everything. And they're always like, oh, can you teach dancing? I was like, well, I dance like an 80-year-old man, but sure. And then can you teach a cooking class? And I was like, yeah, that I can definitely do. So we'd be like making boudin in Morocco or whatever, pork-free boudin. It was very interesting. But yeah, so that kind of led to people in France going, oh, well, like, would you come and do this at my restaurant? Sure. And then finally they were like, oh, there's this like artistic director at this big like hipster restaurant in Paris. He said, I want to do Cajun food for 6 weeks at my restaurant. And I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. And so they hired me to do that. And then he was like, what do you know about Moroccan food? And I was like, well, not much, but I can learn. And he was like, all right, let's do Moroccan the next 6 weeks. And then it would be, I don't know, New Year's Eve, like follow the path as the sun rises on New Year's Day and make me a dish, like a 12-course meal from like 12 different places along the sun's path. And it'd be like, okay, let's do it. And so he really kept me on my toes. And then they wound up hiring me as chef and later as executive chef for also a Mediterranean vegan restaurant and then a like Creole, like island Creole restaurant.
Wow. I know that you did things at festivals, and I know you had books that you came out with cookbooks.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
I remember that
too.
coming
The Savoy
out.
Kitchen.
Yes, I remember that. But
that was really
I
fun.
really didn't know that you had worked in a restaurant and that involved as a chef. Wow.
And then it was like
that's a lot of work, isn't it?
It's too much. And I'm very sensitive to life in general, but I'm very sensitive to stress. And I felt like in the end, after like 8 years of doing that I was bringing too much stress home. And my oldest was only 6 at the time, and instead of sitting down and playing, or instead of like enjoying baking cookies, I just like sit and stare at a wall.
You're just too tired to
and just like needed to decompress, and you can't decompress and be a good mom at the same time.
It's very hard.
You know, you have to like be on it. And so yeah, I quit that, and I don't miss it at all. I learned so much, so many skills, and just met the most brilliant people in the culinary world who were so inspiring. And I get to hold all that with me, and I get to use it any day that I want to.
Right. It's there for you when you want.
Yeah, without all the stress. So people here, they've been like, oh, well, you know, you got to open up a French restaurant in Eunice. And I'm like, well, first of all, there are about 3 people who would go to a French restaurant in Eunice. I'm related to at least 2 of them.
And after all, I have to give them a discount.
So, right, yeah. They won't even pay. Right, no, so I'm not looking for any of that. And fortunately, that's when I met Lindsay, was when I started thinking like I'd been home for about a year. And I was like, well, I guess I have to like eventually go out and do something. And I didn't want to play music again, because it's like, I don't know, big shoes.
Yeah.
Didn't want to play music. And I knew that I didn't want to cook. And I was like, well, what skills do I have that are marketable? I do speak French and Russian. Russian's not very marketable in Louisiana, but French could be. Yeah.
And so how did you and Lindsay find each other? And maybe we could tell them what you do. We're talking about the job that you have now.
Oh, okay. Lindsay is the principal of École Saint Landry, the French immersion school, the only French immersion school in Saint Landry Parish. And she's one of the most amazing women I've ever known in my whole life. And she does everything and I do the rest. I think my official title is administrative manager, but I do like bookkeeping and fundraising and events coordination and all that. It's really fun. She basically just lets me do whatever I want to, and every now and then she asks me what I've been doing. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And
so she knows that you're going to be doing stuff.
She knows that I don't stop. Yeah. She trusts me, and she's always kind of happy. And if she has any comments, then I'm always very happy to listen to her. And she's just brilliant, and she never stops. So she's definitely an inspiration also.
Yeah, she's a powerhouse woman for sure.
So we had originally met when I was finally like working on leaving France to come home, because my whole like 12 years in France was just sort of like waiting to come home. It was like a really long trip.
You were on your way home and you would stop for a tour, and 12 years later.
Right. So it was like a 12-year trip home. I was like kind of thinking, well, what could I do when I do get home? And I wanted to do something with young children, because I love like 3 to 5 is like my favorite age group in the whole wide world. They're just amazing and creative, and the way their little minds work is just magic. And so they're just like little wild unicorns running around. And I was like, I want to do something with them. And I was looking into French immersion daycare, because apparently we learned something like 80% of all the language we're ever going to use in our lives before we're 5 years old.
Yes. There's that 0 to 6, 3 to 6.
So when you're learning everything, so it's like 2 to 5, I think, is, once you start speaking, and then like you learn to start labeling things like this tall thing that's brown on the bottom and green on top is a tree or an arbre or a d'herbe or whatever. So I was like, well, that would be the ideal place to start. And there weren't any French immersion daycares around. So there's the pre-K.
One of the things I wanted to do for so long was a French immersion daycare.
Yeah. But I also didn't want to teach. I'm not a teacher. And so I was talking to Lindsay about it, and she was like, oh, well, we had met online, really, because Joelle put me in contact with her. My brother Joelle put me in contact with her. And she just started saying, oh, well, you could do this. That's a great idea. Here's something. And then when I got home, she was like, oh, it was Cinco de Mayo, and we met at the Hideaway with drinks. And we hit it off immediately, because who can't hit it off with her? And I wound up pestering her for the job. I saw that she had posted it, and I was like, I want that job. And so it was between me and somebody else who's awesome. And I think I just kind of scared her into giving it to me.
You do have a presence about you.
It comes to being 6'2", slightly aggressive.
So you convinced her that you could do that job. And when she talks about you,
I get bored very easily. And so that's why I need to have this job, because I know I would never get bored right here.
Because there's always stuff to do, right? There's always things to do in a school.
There's always too much to do.
Right.
And so she does like the work of 4 people, and I guess I do the work of about 3. And it's awesome.
Well, she sings your praises so much whenever I talk to her about you and what you've contributed
That's
to
my
the
work
school.
wife.
That's wonderful. I had the opportunity. I was so happy that you asked us to come for that fundraiser to do the judging for the cooking contest. And Shane and I were able to go there. But to be in the environment, see the kids, and to see what y'all were doing there, it was really inspiring and really beautiful.
And then we have Renee also teaching music now, which is so much fun. She's just like, she's so crazy. I love her too.
Yeah, she's delightful.
And then Caroline Huval is our social worker.
Oh, I didn't realize
it's a team
that.
of
that's some powerhouse
awesome
women.
Yes. Yeah, it's really inspiring to be there every day.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow. We don't need I don't know. Well, I don't know what I can do.
We need whatever you want to do. We need you. Yes.
Yeah, that would be so fun to work all day long with y'all. Wow.
Yeah.
So, what was it about wanting to come back home? Why did you want to come back home? What was it? What was pulling you to come back home?
Everything. What would not pull someone to come home to Louisiana? I mean, my family has always been very, very close. We're all like a very tightly knit family. My brothers are my best friends in the whole wide world. My parents and I, we talk a couple of times a week, even though I'm living here now, but we would still send each other really long emails and phone calls and everything. And I wanted to share them, my family, with my kids and vice versa. And I missed the food. I missed being able to go out and hear music that I love, and seeing people on the streets. And then Joanna Devine was asking me to do something for KRVS. She had a show on there for a little while.
She sure did.
And it was something about Eunice and how my grandparents met thanks to Amadee Ardwan. And in that thing that she had me do, I started talking about those squat 1940s buildings that are trying to look Western or whatever when you're driving through Eunice, and it kind of smells like meth, but it also smells like boudin, so you're just happy to be there. And I was and people don't see that beauty, and I didn't see it growing up, of these horrible little storefronts and everything, and 10 buildings. So we should center, but and I didn't see that beauty. And then I was in some of the most beautiful places on earth, and I was missing Highway 190. So I had to come home. I had to be in the familial breast. I had to be going to pick up some boudin at the Eunice Superette. I had to go to my dad's jam session, which is my church now. And I got really lucky to find my house thanks to Lisa in Grand Coteau, and I also have the most amazing neighbors. And I mean, Dad always said I was born under lucky stars, and I mean,
keep doing what you're doing, girl.
I guess.
You it seems like you carved out what you wanted in your life. You didn't take the typical path of somebody from Eunice.
That would have been really hard to do. Yeah. Fortunately, I mean, that's what I was saying at Carl Brazel's memorial too. I mean, had I not met Carl, I probably would have been I would have had I don't know, a full-time job at the Daiquiri Shack, living in a trailer in Ville Platte or something. But that didn't happen because I met Carl. No, because also, I mean, I think I was raised better than that. But I mean, being from Eunice, I guess I was making a lot of poor decisions, and you try and live your life, however. But also, I think again, it goes to that lucky stars thing where I didn't intentionally plan anything in my life. I was well, I guess I'll go to Russia, and now I guess I'll go to France, and I guess I'll go home and work at a school. And just kind of following this beautiful expression in Russian, just letting the wind push me along, I guess is the only way to translate that. And I think that's what I've always done, and it's those lucky stars, and they're just kind of putting me in the right place for everything. And I never thought I'd work in an elementary school. I refused to play Cajun music, and I did that for 12 years. I was sure that I would not want to work in a restaurant and be yelled at, and I did that, and then I was the one yelling at people. So all these different things, just kind of life's what happens when you're making other plans, right?
It's really true. But to have the ability to go with the flow of the river, it seems like things came to you because you were open to them in a way. You were open to go to Russia. I mean, not many people.
Even when I announced that, everybody was oh. I mean, so it was pretty scary still, and it was definitely, culture shock, but I don't know, life is for living, right?
Yeah.
And I think, again, my parents gave me that, just kind of jump on it and ride it off into the sunset and see what happens.
Right.
Because that's certainly what my mom did, and
she sure did, right? And knowing that it's going to be okay. Whatever happens, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I never doubted that it wouldn't be.
Right, even in the worst.
Again, that's also what my parents gave me, is just kind of that faith that you can just ride with it, and it's probably going to work out. And if it doesn't, you have your whole tribe back in Savoy. So,
in case you need, right? Yeah. So, one of the things that I'm really interested in, with the podcast is, looking at culture. Of course, I love how culture brings community together. I guess that's a big thing. Like it creates community, and that's something that I think is so prevalent here, and that people are attracted to. And sometimes we don't realize that we have such a strong sense of community here. Unless you've traveled or you've been to other places, you don't realize how special that is, that we have such a strong sense of community.
Definitely.
And, I think one of my attractions to playing Cajun music is that it's social music. Like it's not about me being on stage.
Yes.
There's Christine Balfa on stage. For me, it's like,
but when
I'm
she
playing
said there's
music.
Christine Balfa, I do want to say.
For me, it's like I'm on stage with my buds. If it's just us that's playing, whoever it is, playing
it has to
music
feel like
with,
home.
it's home there. And if you can connect to the crowd, that's just a plus.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Then the whole place feels that energy, which is
I would always single
magical.
somebody out. Like if I was like in a theater or something and like the lights were all off, like on the audience, and I'd be like, "Can y'all turn the light?" Like I wanted to see somebody and find one person. I'd be like, "Man, I like those red shoes you got there, man." And then and then there was like that automatic connection because like I don't want to just be playing for a wall or something. Like,
Right. You need to feel.
if I'm in my living room, then I don't need to be looking at y'all or talking to you. But if I'm not, then y'all got to be here with me.
And do you think that's because it's for me? It grew up. This was about socializing. It wasn't about being a star or being a well-known musician. It was about creating community.
It was the community, absolutely, and it was the communion. Yeah.
Right. So I think that's such a cool thing. But and just your like wanting to cook and to sew, those are all creative, but they're all very practical.
Not the way I sew. I don't do clothes. I'm not a practical sewer at all.
So what do you like to sew?
Okay, I guess quilts are practical. When it
keeps
snows,
you warm.
When it snows 8 inches in Louisiana, quilts keep you warm. It's very practical.
But they're beautiful too. They're beautiful.
Well, thank you. So no, like I don't think anybody in my family was ever serious about quilting. I have one that my grandma made, and one that my great grandma made. And I think they were just kind of like trying their hands at them. It was actually Jillian. Jillian and I had an idea that we were going to start a quilting bee, again, the community like of creative women especially. And we were going to start a quilting bee when I got home from Russia after those 6 months.
Oh, interesting.
And by the time I finally did, by the time she was not going to be around anymore. But when we lost her, I decided I was going to start doing it on my own. And so every quilt that I've made since then has something of hers in it, or something like a little arrow or something like that. And then her mom gave me all of her fabric, so I've been putting that in the ones that matter the most.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
So that's actually what got me into it, now that I'm processing it. Yeah. And then me having started quilting got her mom into quilting, which brought us together and created that community.
Jillian's mom.
Yeah.
Oh, Jillian Johnson. For those of y'all that don't know, Jillian Johnson was a powerhouse of a young lady.
Force.
She was a force. She was a local. She was a musician. She started Parish Inc. with her brother, creating all these T-shirts. But she was just an amazing woman, and we lost her in this horrible shooting.
Yeah.
The theater shooting. Wait, how long ago was that? It seems like maybe
10 years.
10 years seems
10
about
years.
right.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years or so.
Yeah.
And I knew that y'all were friends, but I didn't realize how close y'all were.
Yeah, she was maid of honor in my first wedding.
That's true. It was at your mom and dad's house.
Yeah.
I was at
you were
your
there,
wedding. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think somebody once said that what she did was she took our culture and sold it back to us. She made it look cool and sold
It's
it back
true.
to
She
us.
made everything look so cool. It's
And
really
I was
true.
like, that's just brilliant. You know, like she took like Boudin signs and like everybody else was ignoring those like hot Boudin today or whatever signs and made them into t-shirts that looked really cool. People were like, oh yeah, I got to wear that. Like she, took our culture and sold it back to us. And I thought that was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
But we would sit around like crocheting and singing Loretta Lynn songs together.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that was how I kind of like processed that very horrible event. Was I just started quilting and mostly traditional and then branching off into more like art quilts when I had something else to express or a different story to tell or something like that.
Do you find that your quilting is one of your main expressive outlets for like being creative? Like if you want to work through something, if something's going on in your life that you want to work through.
Oh God, yes. I'll journal and quilt. And quilting's a great way to get everybody to leave you alone. You're like, I'm very concentrated on this. And you're not at all. You're like thinking about anything else. But it's very repetitive and you have to be very precise. So it kind of like reins you in. And then you also have like all these like hours of just sewing straight lines where your mind can just go, well, why did that happen? Why did I react this way? Why did this?
So like kind of self-therapy. It's like a little inventory time for
there's
yourself.
this girl on YouTube, like one of the girls I learned from, and she says, and her show is called Quilting is My Therapy. And it's very much the case, I think. Yeah, I use it.
That's wonderful. Like I'm curious for people that are creative. I just don't know what people do that don't have a creative outlet.
Yeah.
So like when something happens, challenges in life is like one of the questions, like what helps you get through challenges in your life? Because, it's not, nobody goes through life without challenges. We all go through whatever, divorce, death, loss of this job, whatever, just a rough day. And I know for me, being able to play music in my tribe that I play music with has helped me through really, really hard times in my life. And so I'm just curious, you already started talking about that, how quilting is a way but I'm finding that I also need, as I'm older, I need more quiet time.
Yeah.
More quiet.
So I hear you with the music thing, because that'll definitely do it. And then my dad, like, has a sixth sense about me or something. He picks up. He's such an empath. And so if I'm sad about anything, he'll just like start playing the saddest possible waltzes, and he's like, "Sing that, baby." And then I'm like bawling my eyes out, like singing the songs for him.
He sees that you need to let something out.
Yeah,
wow.
Where I'm like, "No, let's just rock. Come on, I got this. Let's rock." And he's like, "No, we're gonna play Chababé Creole, like, or whatever." And then I just like Christmas with a Broken Heart, and I just sit there sobbing. Okay. He's like, "Let's play it again." Okay, sure. So that's one thing. But the quilting thing for me is like when I start a new quilt, like I have like 6 huge bins of like fabric scraps, and I dump them all out on the floor. And it's like mountains of like soft little pieces of fabric all around. And so like it's very tangible, and you're like led by the colors and the textures and patterns. And so you're just pulling all these little, like it could be like a 1/2 inch by 3 inches. And I'm like, that's the one. Like everything's going to be around that one piece of fabric that was Mom Mabel's or Thule's or Jillian's or Lala's or whatever.
So that was like that had some meaning to you.
Some pajamas I made for one of my kids when they were babies. But yeah, so it's something will like grab me, and then I'm like, well, this is the direction we're taking. And then you start pulling other things, and it's like love, all these little scraps of like memories of when you made something for someone else, or when somebody made something for someone or you, or and it's you're literally burying yourself under tangible scraps of love.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful.
And then you're putting them together to make something new, to share some kind of joy with someone else. Toby calls me the Cajun grandma because I just sit around like cooking and quilting, like embroidering. He's like, let's watch some anime. And I'm like, okay, let's go embroidering, because otherwise I'll fall asleep if I have to sit in front of a TV. So,
you have to have something to do whenever you're doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to constantly be creating something. Yeah.
So, One of the thing, I guess you probably, maybe I've talked a little bit about that, but do you have like any daily habits or rituals that you do that kind of make you feel kind of grounded in yourself? Like, have you, maybe you don't.
The glass of wine in the bathtub.
Now that I can relate to. Well, you did mention you're also a journaler. I'm a big journaler, and that's part of my daily in the morning with my coffee. Every morning I have my.
I don't have time in the morning because I do have a teenager and a toddler at the same time, and I have to be at work at 7:45. So it's up at 5:45 and getting kids fed and clothed and getting them to the bus or school or whatever. So I have about 5 minutes in the morning usually that I take, and my family was never very religious, but my dad was always very much into like the Great Spirit or the Creator, you know? And so during those 5 minutes, I just kind of like connect to that. There was a great, a blues magazine, a Greek blues magazine once, who asked me he was like, oh, you travel so much, you know, what's your favorite adventure band? And I said, well, every morning when I get out of bed, because like, what's going to happen? It's always so exciting. And so just kind of like waking up and like centering into that and that Great Spirit or whatever it is. I guess that would be my only ritual, and it normally takes about a minute and a half because then I got to go do something else. But journaling, yeah, I mean, by the time my head hits the pillow, I'm normally asleep. So I do my Duolingo lessons for whichever language I'm learning at the time.
So are you working on a language now?
I dork out hard on that shit, man.
Yeah. So you speak Russian, you speak French.
Yeah, and some German. And then I did Greek for 2 years. Yeah, so I'm trying to do Spanish right now because we have a lot of parents at the school who don't speak English or French. They only speak Spanish, and I'd like to be able to communicate more with them and make them feel more welcome. So
you were kind of working on your Spanish.
I'm doing that. And then, yeah, journaling, I only find time to do probably 2 or 3 times a week, but it really helps to figure out whatever I've been ignoring that's happening in my head. Yeah, because sometimes you don't have time to think about whatever you're experiencing, good or bad, or, you know, whatever, like, or just go like stop and like relive this moment that was so amazing. Like, I don't know, hugging your dad or something like.
Yeah. It's for me, like journaling, it just kind of helps me. If I procrastinate and don't journal, it's like I'm not wanting to see something. I know that I'm not wanting to deal with something. So I kind of, whenever I was like 2 or 3 days go by and I'm too busy, for me, this is for me, I think, okay, girl, what are you avoiding? What are you avoiding? You need to sit down and journal it out and see what's going on.
Whoa.
And
I'm gonna have to pay attention to that.
That's for me. That's you know, because like, oh, girl. So it's something that I feel like for me, just like a connection to myself. I guess it's like a prayer, if you know, whatever it is, but just also just like reminding me, or after you complain about something over and over, I finally say, okay, how many times are you going to write about it? Just do something about it, right? So it's like it helps me just, yeah.
You know, like Caroline's a therapist, right? And so like,
yes.
But you can't like you can't be friends with your therapist. So like she can't like ever see me. But like we talk about things, and one of the things I love most about her is like it's never like, oh, so how you been doing? It's like, so what do you feel about? It's like right to the quick. Like,
right.
Just cuts right into your jugular immediately. And so she like, and I always have something that I'll talk to her about, like, oh, I realized this while I was journaling, you know, or like something was bothering me. And then all of a sudden in my head, I was back in my apartment in Russia, my first apartment there, like taking a bath, and I could see the whole bathroom around me instead of my bathroom in Grand Coteau and things like that. And it's like, well, why did that happen? And then like telling her, well, I think it's because of this. And that's the kind of stuff that I'll figure out journaling. Like, why did I have this sudden vision that I'd not had in 17, 20 years, you know? And I don't know, our heads are crazy sometimes.
It's really true, our subconscious, right?
Yeah, and just kind of like delving into that is really fun. And being brutally honest with yourself too is scary.
It's not always easy though.
That's the kind of challenge I like, because also it's private then, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'd like to talk to you about is when you move back home, you talked about meeting up with Lindsay and trying to find something we all need to pay our bills, right? We have something to pay our bills, but also something purposeful, right? I'm sure you didn't want to just do something that
work in an insurance office or something,
right? You wanted something that had because you can work.
I have to be inspired again. Like I get bored so easily. Like I have to really be inspired by something, and so helping Lindsay start this school and creating all the procedures that a school needs, and adapting other procedures like school district procedures to our own needs as a charter school. All that was really interesting, but I was not prepared for the community impact that we would make being in Sunset. So we have parents who live in New Roads who will drive their kids to school every day because they want them to come to our school.
How long of a drive is that?
It's like almost an hour.
Wow.
And then we have parents who live in the projects across the street who bring their kids to our school because they don't have a car. And so if their kids were taking the bus somewhere else and the kid got sick, they would have no way of going to get the kid. And these are parents who like maybe have a job at the Dollar General or something nearby that they can walk to if they have a job. And seeing those little kids learning French and knowing that the difference that we're going to make in their lives, they're going to get better jobs. They're going to pull their families up out of poverty. We're changing the futures of generations of these families. And that's like, I'm just going to start crying. Like every time I think about it, I get so emotionally overwhelmed about the difference we're making in this community.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And they'll be able to go back and say, you remember when this, like you can probably see the trajectory of what could happen at that, because of that. I kind of feel that way with my new job at in St. Martinville at a STEAM Academy. And it's part of a decentralized grant not a decentralized grant, a grant that they got because they didn't desegregate.
Right. Okay. Uh-huh.
And so it's a school that is in a part of town that it was a little black school in St. Martinville, and it was, all the people around there. It's, a lot of the projects, a lot of poverty, but they're creating a school there where these kids get, the teachers there, a lot of the teachers have been there for so long and they love those kids. It's beautiful to see what they give to those children. But also those kids are every day they're getting either music, dance, visual art, or STEM. Now, they're not getting a foreign language, but they're getting things that they may never have ever seen or been exposed to.
Yeah.
And it's just going to open their little minds and to see the possibilities of what they can do. And they're so much happier going into their academic classes because of the things that they're getting exposed to. So that I feel that way about our little school for what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I totally...
Changing lives.
It feels that way, and I'm so happy to be a part of that. It's
it fills your heart.
It does.
I mean, then we have like Boudini teaching third grade too. Like Kirby Jumbo is teaching third grade.
That is amazing.
And the kids like maybe hadn't ever been exposed to that, and then they're like, wait, there's a whole cartoon that's like in this language from Louisiana, like
right,
and that kind of thing. And then watching the kids go and speak French to their grandparents when the grandparents were like, oh, we were punished for that or whatever. Or we were sure that this language wasn't going to exist anymore, and our kids weren't interested in speaking it. But now my grandkids are like asking me comment ça va, and they're counting to 10 with me, and just that. And especially like I was teaching music the first 2 years, and now it's Renee. So we're having Cajun people teaching Cajun songs to these kids, and so these kids are like going to sing like Jolie Blanc or Je veux marier mais les pouvons pas to their grandkids and to their grandparents, and the grandparents are like. Just crying, they're just bawling. Like
I bet. Oh,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And so like there's that side of it too. But mostly it's just like making that difference in this community and knowing that I didn't want to leave St. Landry Parish. I mean, that's
true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's where I grew up. I mean, I grew up between St. Landry and Evangeline, really, but on that line. But I didn't want to leave St. Landry Parish. And I'm so thrilled that I, again, was fortunate enough to find this job in St. Landry Parish, find a home in St. Landry Parish, and be able to make a difference every day of the week for St. Landry Parish.
In your home community. Yeah, that's a great feeling. If people wanted to know more about the school, like what are the criteria to get their if they live nearby, do they have to live in St. Landry Parish to come to the school?
Kind of, but they can do a transfer request also.
So y'all are open for more enrollment? Are you looking for more students?
We're getting
looking to growing? I know I
60
saw there's
kindergartners every year.
Well, and tell me about the building that they're redoing. Can you give us a little history of that?
Cheryl Cormier graduated from there.
Wow.
The old Sunset High School. It's on the National Registry of Historic Places. It's a beautiful 2-story old brick building on Marie Street, maybe in Sunset. And that should be done probably by December this year, 2025.
Ooh,
Yeah, so it's very exciting.
that is really exciting.
And just grants.
And y'all are going to move into that.
Local support. Yeah, we'll be moving into that. And then keeping probably kindergarten through second at our current campus, which is the former First Baptist Church of Sunset that closed down during COVID.
And so y'all were able to take that building
Yeah.
and use this building while y'all refurbishing the old high school. Wow. Well, that's so exciting to see that and to see that you're a part of that, making that happen with Lindsay and Renee. Yeah, that sounds like quite a powerhouse of women
It's a
there.
hell of a team. It's like-
Yeah. So if you're in St. Landry Parish, get your kids out there.
yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you about your quilts. Do you ever do a showing of your quilts, or is that just for you and your...
I did in Virginia. Randomly. In early October, I got invited to go and do one for like the Virginia Arts District Art Walk or something at the Black Irish Social Club. So that was pretty cool. And I sold 2 out of the 3 that I'd brought.
Awesome.
But they're like $2,000 quilts. So anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 because it's a lot of work and a lot of stuff happening in there. Like beading and embroidery and tons of different quilting techniques. So those are the art quilts. But otherwise, I just make them for friends. I just made one for Joe Vidrine and Val for their baby. And it's still hanging out in the back seat of my car because I keep forgetting to give it to them.
So if somebody wanted to maybe get you to make...
I probably wouldn't. It's too much work. If I really loved the person, then, I'm making one for Wilson right now.
Yeah.
I made one for Joelle. I made one for Mabel, my little niece. One for my
She's so
mom.
cute.
I
Oh, my
know.
God.
Oh, God. She's like, one day she's Joelle and one day she's Effie. She's like, yeah. And they're expecting a boy next.
I
Did you know
didn't
about
realize.
this?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's
Tati
exciting.
Rara is going to have another little baby to love and take care of and make a quilt for.
Oh.
Yeah, so I've kind of like made them for family members and then like very close friends or just people that I want to like. I've known Joe V all his life, but we're not like, best friends. I don't know him or anything like really. But because I love his parents, I was like, so I should do something, to
It's so sweet. Yeah.
show that. But yeah, no, people have approached me like, would you make me a quilt of like my dead husband's ties? And I'm like, nope, I'm sorry, but no. We'll pay. No. I don't need money that badly.
So
no.
you want some, it's something that you do this as something for people you love and a way to show
Yes.
your...
I think it's kind of like music. Like if you start doing music just for the money, like it sucks and it loses all meaning and relevance. So I think that would be a terrible way to live, and I don't have to do that.
Right. So
I have a brain that allows me to do other kinds of work, so I don't have to quilt kind of bullshit quilts that I don't want to make.
Right.
Even for people I like, I just don't want to do it.
Yeah. So if people wanted to reach out and find you for any particular reason,
Don't. I don't know what they want to find me for. I don't need to be found. You can find me at Savoy Music Center on a Saturday
on
morning.
a Saturday they could go to Savoy Music Center for a jam. Tell us about the jam. So maybe we could invite people to your dad's jams.
So
I'm
we've
trying to see
been
how we
doing
could
this for-
invite people to continue the conversation with Sarah.
Continue the conversation. I'm actually just really not that friendly. I like you. This is why I'm here.
So don't go up to her.
That dog will bite. No. I think we're always like, Southerners are known for being like so warm and hospitable and everything. And a lot of times
you don't feel like it.
you're like, why do I want to repeat the same spiel to this person? I'm glad y'all are in Louisiana. Have a great time. Thanks. Bye. But like, I don't want to. And yeah. Anyway, Dad's Jam has been going on for 65 years now, something like that.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, I remember my dad would go every time he was home every Saturday morning, and I went several times with him. But you never know who you're going to see there.
Right.
And tell us about that.
Man, so it's 9 to noon exact, because then we have to go get a burger or whatever, and Dad's not waiting for anybody. It could be a bus full of tourists.
I've been there when he's ready to go. He's ready. It's done, and it's done.
It's just time to go. It's time for that burger. Mark's gonna have lunch. But it starts at 9, and I like to get there really early because I go and bring the Buddha and make the coffee, and I call that part the homily, with the mass. And that's when Dad's just like sitting around greeting people, and like sharing whatever's been on his mind that week. And I love that connection. Mm-hmm. And then around 10:30, he'll be like, all right, let's play some music. And he washes the crackling grease off of his fingers, and he picks up his accordion, and it's just like time to go. And it's also really cool to see like what songs he's going to play, and like where his, his thoughts or memories or emotions or empathy are going to lead him in that. And everybody just follows along, and he'll play for like an hour and then hand it off to somebody else. Mom always shows up. Wilson often, Joelle sometimes. Gubby not very often, but for the holidays she'll be there. And yeah, I mean, it could be, I don't know, like Linda Ronstadt or Cheryl Cormier or Steve Riley or Wayne Toops or I don't know, John Fogerty or whoever can just like walk in, and everybody's just like, well, there's some random person. There have been so many people who've shown up to Dad's Jam, and I don't watch TV, so I don't know who people are, and they're like, oh my God, that was so and so. I'm like, well, who is that? Like, from that show, I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm actually really good for working the counter at the store because I'm not impressed because I don't know.
Because you don't.
I'm sure I would be impressed if I knew what or who they were.
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe that's refreshing to them,
I think so.
I remember Dirk had played with Joan Baez for many years, and she had come to visit, and she loves to go dancing. So we took her out to La Poussière. I think Walter was still playing at the time. But it was
the heyday.
It was awesome because really nobody knew who Joan Baez was. No. And it was just so refreshing, I think, to her. But one beautiful thing, I just love Cheryl Cormier. Cheryl was there that night. And Cheryl came up to Joan, and I thought maybe she recognized her, right? And Cheryl came up to Joan, and she goes, Beb, who's your mom and daddy? And because she looked like she thought she looked familiar, like she was trying to place who she was, Right. And it was just it's so typical of here, people wanting to make a connection, it feels like. Like Cheryl knew she looked familiar but couldn't place her. So maybe if I find out who her mom and daddy are, and so I forgot what, Joan had responded, but it just you just never know who's going to walk through the doors of the Savoy Center or at La Poussière, people coming. But they just walk into what we're doing, and they probably are grateful that you don't recognize them. Right? Because they can just be a regular person. I
think like that's what Toby was saying about the Anthony Bourdain thing too, like just bringing Anthony Bourdain around to like all these places, and nobody had any clue who he was. They were just like, oh, there's another guy with Toby, and like we're going to feed him too.
Right. And so that was probably so refreshing to them. And they didn't know that they were
feeding Anthony Bourdain, and just,
Right. So it's a gift.
So I think our seclusion is definitely a gift. Yeah.
Well, Sarah, I am so glad to get to visit with you and hang out, and I want to do more without the mics.
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
But thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming and hang out.
You made me think a lot. I appreciate that.
I find that being able to visit in this kind of context, I'm always grateful whenever I get to do an interview, if somebody's interviewing me, because it makes you think of things that maybe you're not so self-reflective in everyday life.
Right.
And so I saw that some of those things you were saying that happened to you, like whenever you were talking to someone, but I'm grateful that we could have this time together. And
Well, it's fun too because like as like people who want to get to know people more, or who are creative people, and you have questions for people, but you don't want to be like, you're sitting around with your friend having a glass of wine. You don't want to be like, so tell me about him. You don't, and like you put them on the spot, and it's like, I was planning on being put on the spot here, so it works out,
You agreed to it.
Yeah.
Which I know that you don't do very often. So I appreciate it.
Thank you for asking me to.
Thank you so much. And keep doing all the great work, keep quilting and cooking and servicing those kids.
Yes.
At St. Leger Parish. Thanks so much, Sarah.
Thank you, Christine.
If you would like to further support the Christine Balfa Podcast, be sure to visit and support our Patreon page.